There are two completely different pathways your body uses to build visceral fat, the fat packed around your organs. Same destination, two different roads. One route comes from overflow. The other bypasses safe storage completely and sends fat straight toward the abdomen. If you only fix one pathway, the other can keep running in the background. First, understand the difference between subcutaneous fat and visceral fat. Subcutaneous fat sits under the skin. That's the body's preferred storage warehouse. Visceral fat is deeper, wrapped around organs like the liver and intestines. Your body generally treats that as backup storage, not the first choice. The first pathway starts with insulin. Every time you eat carbohydrates, blood sugar rises and insulin moves that sugar into cells. Insulin itself is essential. The problem is chronic elevation. When insulin stays high day after day, cells gradually become less responsive, partly because too much energy inside a cell is stressful and damaging. Your pancreas responds by releasing even more insulin. That creates two effects at the same time. Fat release from fat cells gets blocked, while excess sugar gets converted into new fat. At first, that fat goes under the skin because subcutaneous storage is safer, but those fat cells can only expand so far. Researchers call this the adipose expandability model. Once the body's preferred storage system loses flexibility, overflow gets rerouted internally, around the liver, around the intestines, around the organs. That's the classic visceral fat pathway tied to insulin resistance and fatty liver. But this model has a gap. It doesn't explain lean people with thin arms and legs who still carry dangerous abdominal fat. If there's no visible overflow, something else must be routing fat there directly. That second pathway is driven largely by cortisol. Hormones work through receptors. Think of hormones as keys and receptors as locks. Visceral fat tissue carries a much higher density of cortisol receptors than other fat depots. So when cortisol stays elevated from chronic stress, poor sleep, under-recovery, or excessive endurance training, visceral fat responds aggressively while fat under the skin barely changes. This is why someone can look lean overall but still develop a protruding midsection. Cushing syndrome is the extreme example. Chronic cortisol excess creates central fat accumulation with relatively thin limbs. You also see milder versions in stressed endurance athletes who stay lean everywhere except the abdomen. Sex hormones influence this too. Balanced estrogen tends to favor safer subcutaneous storage. When hormonal balance shifts, especially alongside poor sleep, alcohol, and metabolic stress, fat distribution can become more central. The important part is that these pathways amplify each other. Elevated cortisol worsens insulin resistance. Worsened insulin resistance raises physiological stress. Visceral fat itself increases inflammation, which feeds the cycle further. That's why people can feel disciplined and still feel stuck. Now the fixes, because each pathway has a direct intervention. For the insulin pathway, the fastest tool is muscle contraction immediately after eating. When muscles contract, they open GLUT4 transporters that pull glucose out of the bloodstream with far less insulin required. 10 bodyweight squats after a carbohydrate-containing meal can blunt the glucose spike before it escalates. Leg muscles clear a huge amount of glucose quickly. Even brief movement matters. Second, change meal order. Eat protein and vegetables before starches or sugar. Studies show this significantly lowers post-meal blood sugar spikes without changing calories. Protein first also stimulates GLP release, the same gut signaling pathway targeted by GLP-1 medications. For the cortisol pathway, fix the morning signals. Cortisol naturally peaks after waking. The problem is stacking extra stress on top of it. Outdoor light within 10 minutes of waking helps your internal clock push cortisol back down on schedule. Delay caffeine 60 to 90 minutes so it doesn't amplify that natural peak. And eat protein early to reduce the stress response from an overnight fast. Underneath both pathways is the same foundation. Keep processed carbohydrates and repeated insulin spikes at a level your body can actually handle. The protocol is simple. 10 squats after carbohydrate-heavy meals, protein and vegetables before starches or sugar, outdoor light soon after waking, delay caffeine, eat protein early, protect sleep and recovery. This is educational information, not medical advice, and persistent or unusual body composition changes deserve medical evaluation. Follow for more. Next week, we're covering how quickly these changes show up in blood work.